423 years ago, it was just land in America. No states, no presidents, no global influence. Today, it is one of the most powerful nations on Earth. This is the story of how it happened, in just 13 minutes. America did not suddenly become one of the richest and most powerful countries in history. That kind of rise takes time, luck, mistakes, and a lot of unexpected turns. In fact, for a long time, North America was not even the main focus of European explorers. People were busy chasing wealth elsewhere, and this massive land sat there like a hidden bonus level nobody bothered to unlock. Long before anyone in Europe truly understood what North America was, there were whispers about land across the ocean. The Vikings had reached parts of it centuries earlier, but their discovery did not spread widely or change global maps in any major way. So when explorers later set sail, they were not trying to find a new continent. They were trying to reach Asia faster. Then came Christopher Columbus, a man whose confidence did not match his geography. He believed sailing west would take him straight to Asia. Instead, he landed in the Caribbean. He expected spices, silk, and riches from the east. What he found instead were islands, unfamiliar people, and something that quickly caught Europe's attention: gold. Columbus returned to Spain convinced he had reached somewhere near Asia. He told stories, showed what he had gathered, and most importantly, hinted at wealth. That was enough. Spain became interested, not because they fully understood the land, but because there was money to be made and influence to expand. Around the same time, Portugal found a different route to Asia by sailing around Africa. This created a rivalry. To avoid conflict, Spain and Portugal agreed to divide the world using an imaginary line. Everything on one side would belong to Spain, and everything on the other would belong to Portugal. It sounds simple, but it shaped global history in a major way. Portugal focused on trade networks in Asia and Africa. Spain turned toward the Americas, especially the southern regions where there were large civilizations, valuable resources, and established populations. Central and South America became the main targets because they offered immediate rewards. North America, on the other hand, looked less impressive to early explorers. When the Spanish explored parts of it and did not find massive gold reserves or dense populations, they lost interest quickly. To them, it seemed like a lot of land with little value. So they moved on. Meanwhile, England had quietly shown interest in North America earlier than many realize. An English explorer reached the continent before Spain fully explored places like Florida. But England did not follow up right away. They were dealing with their own problems in Europe, including wars and political struggles. It took nearly a century before England seriously tried to settle in North America. Their first colony at Roanoke ended in mystery. People arrived, settled, and then disappeared without a clear explanation. That did not inspire confidence, but England tried again. The next attempt was Jamestown, and this time it worked, although not without hardship. Life was difficult, resources were limited, and survival was never guaranteed. Still, the colony managed to survive. Then came the Pilgrims, who settled in Plymouth. They were seeking religious freedom, but they also had strict beliefs and a very disciplined way of life. As time went on, more people arrived. Some came for opportunity, others for religion, and many simply wanted a better life. Slowly, the eastern coast of North America filled with British colonies. What was once ignored began to grow into something important. At the same time, France was claiming large areas in the center of the continent. They were not settling in the same way as the British, but they built control through trade and alliances, especially with Native American tribes. This created overlapping claims between European powers. Eventually, tension turned into conflict. By the mid-1700s, it was clear that Britain and France could not both control North America peacefully. This led to the French and Indian War. named because both sides had Native American allies. The British colonies had a much larger population, giving them a major advantage. After years of fighting, Britain won. France lost most of its North American territory, including Canada. It was a major shift in power. But victory came at a cost. Britain had spent a huge amount of money on the war and needed to recover it. So they turned to the colonies and demanded higher taxes. From Britain's point of view, it made sense. From the colonists' point of view, it felt unfair. The colonists argued that they should not be taxed without representation. They believed they deserved a voice in decisions affecting them. Tensions grew, protests began, and soon, conflict became unavoidable. In 1776, the colonies declared independence. It was a bold move, but it did not immediately create a new nation. There was still a war to win. After years of struggle, they succeeded in breaking away from British rule. Freedom brought new challenges. The early government was weak and unorganized. The states behaved more like separate countries than a united nation. It became clear something had to change. Leaders came together to create a new constitution. This document formed a stronger federal government and laid the foundation for how the country would operate. It was not perfect, but it worked far better than before. In 1789, George Washington became the first president. At that time, the United States was still small, and much of the western land was controlled by other nations, especially Spain. Then came an unexpected opportunity. France, under Napoleon, controlled a massive territory called Louisiana. This land included access to the Mississippi River, which was essential for trade. The United States was concerned about such a powerful neighbor controlling it. They approached France to buy a small portion, mainly New Orleans. But Napoleon had different priorities. He needed money for wars in Europe and decided to sell the entire territory. Just like that, the United States doubled in size. One of the most important land deals in history. With more land came expansion. People began moving west in large numbers. Families grew, and there was a strong belief that land was there for the taking. But this expansion often ignored the people already living there. The country continued to grow through purchases, agreements, and conflicts. Florida was acquired from Spain. Texas became independent from Mexico and later joined the United States, leading to tensions and eventually war. After winning, the United States gained even more land, including areas that would become California. Soon after, gold was discovered in California, triggering the gold rush. Suddenly, thousands rushed west hoping to become rich. As the nation expanded, it faced serious internal conflict. The biggest issue was slavery. Northern states had moved away from it, while southern states depended on it. This created a deep divide. That tension eventually exploded into the Civil War in the 1860s, one of the deadliest conflicts in American history. In the end, the North won, slavery was abolished, and the country was reunited. But the impact lasted for generations. After the war, growth continued. Alaska was purchased from Russia, adding a massive new territory. At the time, some thought it was a mistake, but it later proved extremely valuable. The United States also began looking beyond its borders. Hawaii became strategically important and was eventually annexed, increasing American influence. Then came another turning point. The United States entered a conflict with Spain after an American ship exploded under mysterious circumstances. War followed, and the United States emerged victorious. As a result, it gained territories like Puerto Rico and the Philippines and became more involved in global affairs. This marked the beginning of its rise as a world power. Under leaders like Theodore Roosevelt, military strength and global influence expanded. One major achievement was the Panama Canal, connecting two oceans and transforming global trade. By the early 1900s, the United States had transformed from scattered colonies into a powerful nation with global influence. And just as it stepped onto the world stage, a massive conflict began in Europe. World War I had started, and the United States would soon be involved in events on a scale never seen before. The once overlooked land had become one of the most important players in the world. And the wild part is, this was just the beginning. If you enjoyed this and want more fast-paced, engaging breakdowns like this, hit subscribe, drop a like, and stick around. Because the next story only gets crazier.